Hi, I'm Dr. Patrick Jones, and this is Beyond the Feature, the podcast where we turn technology budgets into business value by fixing workflows, not just collecting features. So if you've been following along all of our episodes so far this season, you know our cadence by heart. Behavior lives where the work happens. Defaults are destiny. Rituals beat reminders. Decisions need a trace. Measurement should be in plain English. Social proof outruns policy. And friction is a signal, not a failure. Today, I'm going to zoom out a little bit and give you the simple picture that ties it all together. In this sketch, I draw it like on a napkin or a whiteboard that I recreate at client kickoffs. It's the mental compass I use anytime work starts to drift into feature trivia. So there's pretty much 5 steps. There's the trigger, the shared space, the short ritual, a decision, and then trace. So that's the flow. 5 links, but 1 path. And to keep things fresh, I'm going to walk the whole model using MicrosoftLoop so you can see what it looks like in a modern, flexible workspace without doing a full-on product tour. We'll stay conceptual, practical, and very human. If you want to know more about Loop, I've got a book on it. I've got a course on it. Shoot, give me a call. We can talk about it. But for this part, we're talking about how it embeds into a flow, right? So a model is a map, not a manual. It keeps you oriented when the day gets loud. Tools will change. User interfaces will move and new buttons will appear. But if you can answer, where am I in the flow? You can make the next good move under pressure. And when you can make that next good move, you convert software spend into outcomes that you can feel. Time back, fewer interruptions, decisions you can actually find. All right, Loop open in one mental tab. Your real work in the other. Let's walk. So we're just going to start with trigger. What starts this flow? Every piece of work has a moment where it begins for real. A customer email lands, an executive asks for a quick readout, a field issue needs a 1-pager by Friday. That initiating moment is the trigger. So here's how that plays out in Loop. The instant the trigger arrives, I create a Loop page. I name it in plain English, Q1, feedback, field feedback, maybe 1-pager draft. I don't wait to gather more information. I give the work a home immediately, so the team has somewhere obvious to point. And if that trigger comes in Teams or Outlook, I'll often start with a Loop component right inside the conversation. A tiny table of what we saw, what we didn't, and who's on point. That component is your starter pistol. In writing, visible, collaborative, portable. Later, it can grow up into a full Loop page, or it just lives on as the status component you keep dropping in updates. But here's the key point. The trigger is about clarity, not ceremony. We're saying, this just became real, and here's where it lives. If someone needs a quick click-by-click later, sure, send them the companion series book, right? Or shoot over to Olympus Academy for the lesson. I've even got YouTube clips on it, right? But the trigger is a noun, not the verb. Name the work, give it a place. Then, shared space. This is where the work lives by default. Once the project starts, the next question is, where does it live? Not where someone might stash a draft. Not Patrick's desktop because he's fast. I mean the default home field. In Loop, I like to create a workspace, and I call it something obvious like field feedback Q1. And then inside it, that's where our 1-pager page, a light work research page, and a running open questions page. That's where they live. Then I pin that workspace link in the appropriate Teams channel and paste the page link into the kickoff message so nobody has to ask for it again. Everybody has it. When we share the space and make it obvious, the oxygen returns to the room. People stop asking for links because they know the home field. Social proof kicks in because leaders post in that space. And your small rituals, more on those in a second, but they finally have somewhere to land. If the shared space still feels hidden, that's friction talking. Rename it in human language. Move it up a level. Pin the link where the next click already is. Make finding the work so easy that training isn't required. Now, the short ritual. So this is the tiny habit that keeps it all aligned. Now we're at the heartbeat, right? The short ritual. These are small, repeatable cues that prevent drift. Rituals are not rules. They're guardrails that save brain power. With Loop, this feels wonderfully simple. I'll show you my go-to trio, right? So here's like ritual A. On our Q1 one-pager Loop page at the very top, I drop a tiny reusable block that reads purpose. Why does this exist, right? Decision we need next. So that's the yes, no. On point. Who is owning the next move? When we meet, we're not checking in, we're moving the ball. And because the seed lives at the top of the actual page, it's unmissable. Here's another ritual, right? So Loop makes naming pages easy. I use a clear pattern. Q1 field feedback 1 pager draft. And then later, V1.0 signed. The pattern isn't for compliance, it's for findability. You can predict the name before you see it, which means you can find it under pressure. Here's another ritual I use. It's a decision header. So there's 2 lines that never leave the top of the page, right? Decision and owner approver. Every time we meet, eyes land there first. If it's empty, we fill it before we leave. If it's filled, we confirm it's still true. That single habit has saved teams I work with hundreds of did we decide pings back and forth. Templates can help you stamp these in, but remember, the ritual is the win, not the button. Add the cue where the work already lives, and you won't have to remember the right way. The page will remember for you. Now, the next one, decision. Who decides and how do we know it's done? The work exists to move decisions from pending to made. In the model, decision has a specific meaning. Who chooses, by when, and how we record it in the place where work lives. Here's what that looks like in Loop. We've drafted the one-pager. During the review, we co-author in the open. When we get to a fork in the road, option A or option B, I literally write the decision on the screen in the header. I'll @mention the approver right there. And if we need a few follow-ups, we add them as a little task block under the page. No side email, no, we'll capture it later. We capture it now in the living document the team will return to next week. The psychological effect is massive. People stop leaving the meeting with a vibe and start leaving with a sentence. We didn't add bureaucracy. We removed ambiguity. Buttons, comments, mentions, even approvals are supporting actors. The scene is, we choose here. All right, now the trace. How do we see it later without digging? This last link is the one that kills relitigation. Trace. I define trace as a human can answer 4 questions in under 10 seconds. What have we decided? Who decided it? When did it happen? And where the record lives. So Loop actually makes this human. The decision headline at the top of the page is your front story, right? That's the front page. Behind it, the comment thread shows the reasoning. Page history shows you the edits. Your little task list shows you who's closing the loop. If someone joins next month, you can paste the page link and say, top line, there's the decision. Scroll 2 inches for the why. No archaeology required. Trace isn't about creating a museum exhibit. It's about preventing Groundhog Day. It's priceless when a leader asks, what changed? So where these features fit, without stealing the show, is that you've heard me say all season. Features are ingredients. Workflows are the recipe. Well, in this model, the ingredients slot naturally, right? With the trigger, it's a quick Loop component in Teams or Outlook, or a newly named Loop page. The shared space, a Loop workspace that's pinned and easy to reach. A short ritual. It could be a header seed, a page name pattern, and a 2-line decision block. The decision, co-author it live, @mention the approver, capture tasks in the page. And then the trace. The headline stays at the top, comments and history are evidence. If someone needs step-by-step, again, Microsoft 365 companion series for MicrosoftLoop, it's out there. Olympus Academy has the course. There's YouTube clips that I have out there all over the place. Call Audit Solve, look for me. We'll communicate on that. The idea is to use verbs on demand, but let the model tell you which verb you actually need. So now let's put this model to work. So we're going to run a quick end-to-end scene with Loop so you can feel how calm this gets. A regional sales leader slacks. Okay, team, we need a one-pager on Q1 field themes for the executive call. That's the trigger. I reply with a Loop component right in the thread, 3 rows, theme, evidence, impact. 2 people start typing immediately because the component is alive in the chat. We can all update that together in the chat. 30 minutes later, I promote that component into a Loop page in a workspace called Q1 Field Feedback. I paste the link back into our teams and I pin it in the channel. Now we've got our shared space. At the top of the page, I add our short rituals, the agenda seed, the decision header, and I name the page predictably. We do a 20-minute review, real-time edits in the page. When the vice president joins, we finish the sentence in the decision header together. Approve version 1 to brief the team Wednesday. Minor edits allowed through Tuesday, 3 p.m. I @mention the approver for the record. Next week, the partner asks, what did we decide? I paste one link. They can see the headline at the top, skim the comments if they care to, and get back to work. That's Trace. Same tools you probably already have. It's just a different path. So, and here's a story, right? A leadership team told me, we're doing collaboration, but it still feels like wandering. Their symptoms were familiar, right? Where's the latest doc? Did we approve this? Why that meeting, eat up an hour of our time? We walked that chain and we rebuilt it with Loop, just like we talked about right here. The trigger was everywhere. Email, DMs, hallway conversations. We agreed to always start with either a Loop component in the Teams thread or a new Loop page named clearly. Then where's the share space? It was 3 different SharePoint sites and someone's notebook, right? We created one Loop workspace, pinned it, and planted a Start Here page with the top 3 links. Short rituals did not exist. Blank invites, vague goals. We added the agenda, the decision header, and that simple naming pattern. Decisions were made, but they lived in chat, and Trace was a rumor. 2 weeks after we rebuilt with Loop, the wandering stopped. Not because they got smarter, but because they got a path that was clearer. So why does this matter for a return on investment, right? Because that's what we're looking on, is how is these tools giving us that return on our investment for it? Because executives don't fund features, they fund outcomes. So this model turns we train people on Loop, right, into we changed how work flows, which you can feel in plain English. Meetings are shorter and clearer, fewer access versions interruptions. There's decisions you can find fast. If you want to translate that into return on investment later, you can do the math, right? Minutes saved times people times frequency times a realistic loaded rate plus avoided headaches minus the costs. Boom, there you go. The model ensures you're measuring a flow, not a trivia contest about buttons. So here's a couple pro tips that'll keep this doable, right? Language matters. Put one place, one version at the top of your Start Here page. Add decide in the document above your decision header. Phrases are tiny steering wheels. They help balance, right? Spacing beats soaking. Don't launch with a 3-hour Loop masterclass. Drop tiny how-to moments at the point of use. One sentence, one action, one reflection. The brain will thank you. And then social proof wins. Ask the most trusted person in the group to co-author in the open for 60 seconds. That one visible minute does more than 6 posters. And then friction is data. If people slip back to attachments, don't scold them. Ask, why did the link feel hard? Then fix the path. Rename it, pin it, set a saner default, and then offer the smallest skill refresher. So here's something you can try, right? Here's like homework. Pick one team and one piece of real work that's spinning around today. Do this live. Trigger. Create a loop component or page with a clear name in the moment the request lands. Shared space. Put it in a loop workspace with a friendly name. Paste and pin that link. Short ritual. Add the agenda and a 2-line decision header at the top. Decision. In your next review, finish the header on screen and @mention the approver. And then trace. Leave that headline in place. Resist the urge to copy paste into 5 other places. Point people back to one link. If someone needs clicks, hand them a short, companion series book on Loop or the Olympus Academy. We've got it. 2 minutes of how. But that anchors the 5 links of why. Now, trigger, shared space, short ritual, decision, trace. That's the kitchen layout that helps your dinner come out in time. Loop just happens to be a great kitchen island that lets you prep in public, plate in one place, and let everyone see what's ready without yelling across the house. Use the model as your thinking tool, your diagnostic, and your shared language. When something hurts, ask which link needs a nudge. Fix the path. Then teach the smallest supporting skill. That's how your Microsoft 365 investment stops being a scavenger hunt and starts being a flow. Next time, we're going to take this model into a very specific headache, right? Executive updates, and show how the 5 links compress prep time, kill version whiplash, and produce decisions you can actually find without turning this feed into a tool tutorial. Until then, remember, features are ingredients, workflows are the recipe, and this 5-part model, that's the kitchen layout you return to when the dinner rush hits.